triad inversions, being able to identify the inversion, major triad in root position, minor triad in second inversion, diminished triad in second inversion, diminished triad in first inversion. That's what we're going for. Now, there is a big difficulty gap between major and minor triads and diminished. It is quite difficult, in my opinion, because I find it very hard to differentiate the different inversions for a diminished triad. So the root, the first and the second, can be very difficult. So we'll deal with that. First, let's take a look at major and minor triads. These are relatively easy, so I hope all of you find it quite easy. But we'll just talk a little bit about it. With any kind of triad, being able to hear the chord tones, and especially the bass note, is crucial to identify the inversion, because the inversion is simply what's in the bass. So if I take a major triad, do, mi, so, do is in the bass, the root is in the bass, therefore it's in root position. So that's the key thing. You have to hear that do is in the bass. The first, the root of the chord is in the bass. It is the lowest note. That's what makes it root position. So if you can't hear what the bass note is, then you're screwed. That's it, game over. You cannot tell what inversion it is. You're just guessing. It doesn't matter what is above. Okay, so for example, that's a B flat major. That's a major triad in root position. That's a major triad in root position. Same thing, same thing, same thing, right? Same thing, same thing, same thing. So it doesn't matter what else is happening, how many notes are doubled, what's in the soprano, and so on. What matters is the chord is do, mi, so, which makes it major, and do is in the bass, which is the root of the chord, therefore it's root position. Okay, so that's very important. So you got to really listen for the bass. What is the bass? So we'll use the same chord. Mi is in the bass. Mi, re, do, mi, so, do. Again, you need to be able to hear that so, do are in there, because that's what makes it a triad. Otherwise, it could be some weird, it could be something weird, right? It could be like something like that. So you need to hear that mi, so, do. So, do is above the mi, and that's what makes it a major triad, because it has mi, so, do, mi, so, and mi is in the bass, which is the third of the chord, which makes it first inversion. If you can't hear that, then it's going to be a problem. Then, of course, the second inversion. So let's do a different, so, do, mi. Okay, we should get used to adjusting our the range in our voice to. We should get used to singing in different octaves to adjust for our range. So I cannot sing a D very comfortably, so I'm going to switch to down here. So, do, mi. Okay, so is in the bass. That's what makes it second inversion. Okay, or you can also think the fifth is in the bass. So some people might prefer thinking of numbers. 1, 3, 5, 3, 5, 1. 5 is in the bass, 5, 3, 1, 1, 3, 5, 5, 1, 3. So it is the bass that determines the inversion. Now, hopefully, you'll just hear the chord and recognize it instantly. And that's we want to get to the point where you don't have to think about, what do I hear? You'll just hear it and know it. In the same way that when you eat a mango, you know that it's a mango because it tastes like a mango. You don't have to think about, why is it a mango? Well, it's yellow, kind of, maybe orangish, shaped like a mango, No. You eat it and you're like, oh, it's a mango. So in the same way, you hear that and you're like, oh, second inversion, major triad. We want to get to that level. For many of you, I know this will be okay. Minor, similar, same thing, but now the solfege is different if you're thinking solfege. La, do, mi, la, mi, la, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, do, La, Do. Okay, so again, 5, 1, 3. You might prefer numbers instead of the solfege. Doesn't matter how you think about it as long as you get to the right answer. So you want to get to the point where you hear major and minor triads in all inversions, and you can just identify it instantly. In my opinion, those are not too hard. I think everyone definitely can do that, even if you find it a little bit hard at first. It's within, I think, everyone's grasp. Now, moving on to the next level, and that is diminished triads. Now, these are definitely much harder in difficulty. So we'll need to really work at this. And I was testing myself as well, and even I was not. My latest is about 92% accuracy rate on tonesavvy.com. So I'll try to do some examples and try to work through it later. But it's very important you sit at the keyboard and play and sing these examples. And then use ToneSavvy, a website like ToneSavvy, to test yourself. Okay, to test yourself. But I highly recommend you sit at the keyboard, play the chords, then you can control, you can play the individual notes, you can sing them, you can really absorb it and work through it here. And then use ToneSavvy as a test to see how much your accuracy is. With a diminished triad, thinking solfege, you would try to hear the Ti, Re, Fa. Okay, Ti, Re, Fa. Okay, you want to be able to hear that. Ti, Re, Fa, Mi, Re, Do. Ti, Re, Fa, Mi, Re, Do. Again, solfege is, the usefulness of solfege is really to hear things in relation to Do. Ti, Re, Fa, Mi, Re, Do. So you want to get used to the feeling of that diminished fifth or tritone, because the diminished fifth is unstable. It needs to resolve, generally speaking. And where does it want to resolve here? If you can hear it going inwards, Ti, Do, Fa, Mi, then you're in good shape. Re, and the Re in the middle can go either way. Re, Do, Re, Mi. So you want to hear that Ti, Fa, Mi, Re, Do, resolving to Do and Mi. So that's one way of thinking about it. Diminished triads are difficult because it's very easy to fill in the diminished seventh as well. So there's no diminished seventh, but it's easy for the mind to kind of artificially create that diminished seventh. So watch out for that, okay? And again, if you can hear these notes, Re, can you hear that Re in the middle? The more you can hear and pick out notes that are happening at the same time, as in the harmony or the chord, that shows the sharpness and quickness of your ear. Now, with first inversion, we'll use the same example. In ToneSavvy, and even the way that I'll be doing the quiz, you'll hear T in the top, okay? But now, here's a very important point. In a first inversion, diminished triad, it is a major sixth, okay? It's a major sixth, okay? My bond lies over the ocean, okay? Okay, it's a major sixth. Both a first inversion diminished chord, triad, and second inversion diminished triad have the same outline. So this is a diminished triad in first inversion. That's the third of the chord. But now this is F sharp diminished with the fifth in the bass, which makes it second inversion. And they sound very similar because if you put it all together, it would simply be a diminished seventh chord. So this is very difficult, and if you cannot distinguish between first and second, don't worry. It is pretty difficult. Okay, so do not despair. but it's worth working at it to try to sharpen your ear. That's the key thing. Is your ear getting better, or is it kind of just turning into mush? You want your ear to be getting better. So by struggling to hear the difference between first and second, you will actually be sharpening your ear, even if you're not able to get to 100% accuracy or even much accuracy at all at this point in time. Okay, you will be sharpening your ear. So that's very important. Okay, we're here to develop ourselves. We're never going to be perfect. So keep that in mind. Let's take a look at what's going on between the first and second inversion. So again, the more you can hear all the notes, the more successful you will be. In the computer, in the website Tone Savvy, you will find that sometimes it's hard to hear the individual notes, and sometimes the bass is not very loud, so it's hard to hear the bass. If you can't hear the right note in the bass, you're screwed. So it's a bit difficult. So I recommend, if you're practicing with Tone Savvy, you try to put on your earphones. I've got some big fat headphones here. You try to put on your earphones, whatever they are, pods, or whatever you're using, and that will help you to listen more carefully. So let's see what's going on. We're using A diminished, okay, Ti, Re, Fa, okay. So that, for me, it's very important to kind of put the solfege in context. Fa, Mi, Re, Do. Now we hear this chord. This is first inversion, and we know because of the shape. We have the minor third here, and then we have the augmented fourth between these two. Okay. Whereas in the second inversion, the augmented fourth would be on the bottom and the minor third would be on the top. So that's crucial. So you have to identify this correctly. You have to hear the inside note, which is pretty difficult. Okay, you have to hear this, or somehow just hear it and just automatically, instinctively know what it is. And some of you may be at the level, in which case, congratulations. But for the rest of us, ordinary mortals, we have to work at it. So the question is, what is this? Is this Re, Ti, Fa in the middle, Re, Fa, Ti? No. Because if this is first inversion, then I tend to hear this as Re, Ti, and identify that correctly. Re, Fa, Ti, Do, Re, Do. You see? That's what's happening. Fa, Mi. That's what we're trying to hear happening. So if you hear a chord, and if you sense, if your spidey sense says, wait a minute, that sounds like Re, Ti, wanting to go to Do, then if you are correct, if your spidey sense is correct, that is a first inversion diminished triad. First inversion diminished triad. However, if you heard this Re, Fa wrong, and instead it was actually this guy, then you will be wrong, because this is second inversion. Okay, so we'll get to that. First, let's come back to this one. Re, Fa, Ti. If you can hear that, boom, you're correct. Okay, so this is very crucial. Both Fa and Ti are what we call tendency tones, especially Ti. Ti, though, Ti kind of wants to go to Do. Ti, Do. So if we can identify it as Ti, and the reason we identify it as Ti is we correctly hear the other notes and instinctively or analytically identify the correct solfege. Re, Fa, Ti, Fa, Mi, Re, Do. Then we will get things correct. So Ti, Do, Ti, Re, Fa, Fa, Mi, Re, Do, Ti, Do. We want to really hear that. If we can't, then we will struggle to identify that it's a first inversion. Okay, so difficult. Now let's get to the second inversion. So if I were to play this instead, right? Right? Okay, that's a little bit different because this note is there. So if you're thinking re ti, then do you hear this note? Is it this or you see, that's the crucial thing. So you need to try to search for, orally search for that, the middle bit. Very difficult. Okay, but like I said, we want to sharpen your ear and get better. And it's not about perfection. So this is the crucial thing. Da, dum. There's a tritone there, and then dum. So what is the solfege for second inversion? Well, let's come back to the root position. This would be F sharp diminished triad. Ti, ti, re, fa, mi, re, do, ti, do, re, mi, fa, mi. So ti, do. So fa is on the bottom now. Fa is on the bottom. So it's fa, ti, do, re, ti, do, re. That's what's at the top. Ti, do, re, fa, mi. So that's what I hear, or at least I'm trying to hear that. Is it fa, mi? And the crucial thing is there a T there? Ti, fa, ti, tritone, re, do. That resolves down. Ti, do, re, do, fa, mi. Okay. So it's crucial to hear the inner one. Is it a T, ti, do, or is it a, or is it fa, mi, re, do, ti, do? First inversion, second inversion. So the do's are completely different. And the crucial thing is the tritone. Can you hear the tritone? Because the tritone, fa, ti, mi, do, it expands out to an mi, do. It resolves that way. Or if it's a here, fa, ti, mi, do, like that. Either way, it's expanding out to the sixth for the second inversion, and for the this is for the first inversion, and for the second inversion, it's also expanding to the sixth. Whereas in root position, it's collapsing inwards. Ti, re, fa, do, re, mi,